All right. We have Mr. Panofsky. Let's do this thing. Calling the Centennial School District School Board Reorganization Meeting of Monday, December the 7th, 2020 to order at 7:30 p.m., a half hour late. Ms. Robo, can we have a roll call, please?
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Mr.
Ms.
Panofsky?
Panofsky? I'm here. Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
it's showing recording even on Zoom right now. Yes.
Yes.
Pledge of Allegiance, everyone. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up on the agenda is recognition of board president, Dr. Bedden.
Yes, we want to take this opportunity tonight in the reorganizational meeting. That is a time that the board could potentially appoint a new president. As the outgoing president, we'd like to take this opportunity to recognize the current board president, Mr. Dixon, for his service. The board president role is a yearly appointment. The president is a person who's tasked with not only the same role as every other board member, but the duties and responsibilities of running and facilitating the meetings, and oftentimes working diligently to represent the board in other manners. One additional duty is obviously working with the superintendent to establish the board agenda. At this time, we like to recognize, as Centennial has done in the past, the board president for the year's service. This time, we'd like to present to Mr. Dixon this plaque that says, "In grateful appreciation of your service, Andrew Dixon, School Board President, Centennial School District 2020.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Absolutely, thank you, Dr. Bedden. I appreciate this for the crowd at home. It's a very lovely plaque. We are running late, so I will try to keep my remarks very brief, but thank you very much for the award. Thank all of you for the last year who have served on the board with me. You know, this has been a very boring and uneventful year. Nothing much has changed, so we can just move right along, I suppose. No, but I mean, a year like this, it was going to be a challenge anyway. Obviously, we had some change at the board at the beginning of the year, hence I found myself here, which is not necessarily a seat I expected to occupy even, a year ago. And then there was a lot of change, not even related to 2020. We obviously went through a superintendent search and did a lot of different things. And then COVID. So I can say honestly, two things. One, nobody does, I mean, it's a board of 9, nobody does it by themselves. So I thank all of you for the successes that we've had, because without all 9 of us, I'm just, first among equals winning this role, or whatever you want to say. That's all you're doing here, and just trying to facilitate things. I will say that, I apologize for those times when, at the beginning, especially when I wasn't so good at this job. It's a hard job, and I was learning it as I was going. So I apologize for those moments where sometimes I lost my cool, sometimes I wasn't completely all together. But I think as the year went on, I did learn some things, and I hope that I was able to facilitate some stuff. And I will also say, thank you, not only obviously for the times when people agreed with me, but also for those times when people disagreed with me, because dissenting voices are essential to democracy, and they're essential to creating compromise, and 9 minds is better than 1 always. And by opposing opinions, sometimes you come to the best possible spot. So I sincerely thank every one of you. I thank certainly the district administration, who put up with a lot of upheaval this year. For those of you who are veterans, and Dr. Tolks, welcome. It was a pleasure to be able to bring you aboard. And finally, of course, the thing I'm most proud of that we were able to do this year, Dr. Bedden, thank you for the time that we've been able to work together. And certainly the number one thing I'm glad that we were able to do is to bring you here. I think that this district is extraordinarily fortunate to have someone of your background and pedigree to lead us and really take us in an educational direction. I think, you know, we're on a track where we can do some really great things, and I'm hoping that I'm leaving the seat in a place where we can really move forward together to pursue educational goals and attainments that we haven't seen in this district in some time. So thank you. Mr. Miller.
I don't have a microphone here. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
I'll also keep my mouth short. Mr. Dixon, and I hate to just speak it one last time. We are a board of 10. Not one.
Oh, yeah, Board of 10. I apologize. I said,
But
yes.
I will say that I admire the service you do in particular because the year got off to a very difficult start because it was not politically motivated. Among your successes, you managed to get this board to approve the principles of good governance that's now hanging the screen on the entire board because of one person in particular who never approved. Not only did you get it through, but you didn't. The start that you had, I found that you made every effort to include every board member, particularly myself. There was never a time in talking to you that I felt I was not being heard. And in many cases, you addressed properly my concern. Not since Mrs. Lynch was president of the board have we had somebody achieve to the level you did. And I hope that the actions we take here tonight, which I believe will set the course for the next 2 years of this board, will be under the same type of good governance.
Thank you very much for the kind words, Mr. Miller. And I will say that one of the things I learned for sure, and to the next president, is that, you know, you do have to learn to work with all the personalities and do your best to be as inclusive as possible. And that is a giant cricket or something making its way across the middle of this floor. All right.
Are you watching it? You are. Isn't a cricket?
Can somebody get that?
I don't know what that is.
Next Dalai Lama.
It's a
Just-
cricket.
Just smash it.
Okay.
No,
All right. Thank you, Mr. Miller, for the kind words. And yes, you know, I'm here for the next people. I made a lot of mistakes, and I hope that I can help people not make those mistakes going forward. All right. So with that, we need to do an election of a temporary president.
I'd like to
Hi.
nominate Mr. Temporary president.
I'm sorry, who?
Mr. Martin.
Mr. Martin. That's fine. All those in favor, any further nominations for temporary president? I don't see any, so all those in favor of Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Okay, not, that's what? Yeah, so with that, Mr. Martin, that was yours.
Thank goodness for a cheat sheet here.
Oh, okay, you want the gavel? Yeah,
He
you
needs
need it.
that. He needs
I need
that.
a I hope I don't need a gavel. This should be
Yeah.
non-gavelable. All right.
Hold that thought.
So, with that having been done, it looks like the next order of business.
Hold
is
on one
the-
second, we're having an audio problem.
Robert and Anthony, can you guys give up your laptops just for a minute to connect them? Yeah, you can talk.
Technical difficulties have been resolved.
I could hear you from or over the other side of the room, Mr. Martin, so you didn't really have to move me.
Thank you, John. I'll try to do the best here that we can do. Reading from the agenda, the next order of business is the election of a president for a one-year term. of President of the Centennial School District Board of Directors. Is there a nomination for President?
I nominate Mrs. Crossan.
My second.
There's a nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations for President? Going once? Evidently, there doesn't appear to be any other nominations for president. So we would then call for a vote of the board members. And it could be either a roll call or just a voice vote, I imagine. Is that correct?
Actually, unless someone indicates they wish to abstain or vote no, Ms. Crossan would be elected by acclamation.
I think we still have to have everybody vote aye. That would be nice. It would be nice to have the vote take place. So that's much easier. So all in favor of Ms. Crossan to be president, please say aye.
Aye.
Evidently, that is unanimous vote. And the motion carries 9-0. The next order of business, which I still get to do, is the election of a vice president of the board.
I'd like to nominate Fleming Goddardson.
All right.
I would like to nominate Shelley Eilenberg.
Wait a minute. Is there a second for Mr. Goddickson's nomination? I'll second that for the sake of proceeding here. So Mr. Goddickson has been nominated and seconded. All right, I think, Mr. Panoski, you have a,
I'd like to nominate Shelley Eilenberg.
okay. Is there a second for that nomination?
I'll second.
All right, both candidates have been seconded and approved. Is there a additional nomination for vice president of the board? We have two candidates, Mr. Goddickson, Ms. Eilenberg. Anything further? Hearing or seeing none. Again, I guess we can vote either way on this, but a roll call vote, all right, and Mr. Goddickson was nominated first. So we'll vote.
I'm gonna simply do a roll call and everybody will give me which one they want. And that's the way we've done it in the past, but that's acceptable.
Well, then, if nobody objects, that's the way we'll continue to do it. So have at it.
Okay, we're gonna do roll call vote on the nomination of vice president. We have two people, Fleming Ferguson and Shelley Eilenberg. Mrs. Brancato.
Fleming.
Mrs. Corbin. Shelley Eilenberg. Mr. Goddickson.
Fleming Goddardson.
Mr. Martin.
Mr. Goddickson.
Mr. Miller.
Mrs. Eilenberg.
Mr. Panofsky.
Mrs. Eilenberg.
Mr. Burton.
Mrs. Eilenberg.
Mr. Dixon.
Mrs. Eilenberg.
Mrs. Eilenberg has it 5-4.
I thought it was 6-3, but that's all right. Do we have an accurate vote? I thought it was 6-3, but that's, is it 6-3?
Yes.
All right, then Mrs. Eilenberg is the vice president-elect of the board. Congratulations to both of those. And I'll just make one comment before I turn the gavel back. And my vote was predicated largely on, I believe Southampton should have a representative as president or vice president of this board. Had nothing to do with Mrs. Eilenberg's qualifications. I think she'll do a wonderful job. But I do think that Southampton should have a position as president or vice president of this board. And that certainly influenced my vote, and nothing to do with the personalities that were selected. But I think Southampton deserves recognition in this matter. But
It's the
that's,
second year in a row that they have not had any representation. That's a disgrace.
So-
Okay, so hi guys, I would like to say something if I can be heard. Can you guys hear me?
absolutely could hear you.
There are 3 positions on this board. There is the position of assistant secretary. There are 3 members from Upper Southampton. If any one of them wants that 3rd position, they will have my vote. All they have to do is say that they are interested in that position, because I don't think it has, I agree that there should be Upper Southampton representation. I don't think it has to be president or vice president. It can be any of the three, and that's why there's three. That's
All right, thank you.
my feeling.
At some point, I turn this back to somebody here. I'm not done yet. So I think Mr. Miller has his hand raised. I do see that.
Our board members need to take more, to study more the principles of governance and also how a board operates. The assistant board secretary is not an officer of the board of school directors. Very few school boards have one. I don't know, Dr. Bedden, did Boyertown have one? I have attended board reorganizations over the last 14 years in probably 50 districts. This and School District of Philadelphia are the only two I know of that have an assistant board secretary. In my own estimation, it is somewhere between door holder and person that goes down into the basement to clap for board elections.
Mr. Martin, can we proceed so we can get out of here?
I'm just waiting for Mr. Miller to conclude. I never know when he's finished. So, are you finished?
I'm not finished. I'm finished with that topic.
Okay, fine. I take it that I don't see anybody from the board jumping up and
I
down.
have a nomination for assistant secretary.
Well, then let's have it.
Wait, I nominate Mr. Whartonby. Because the assistant secretary doesn't have to be a school director. It may be a school director as long as it's not the president or vice president of the board.
I think Mr. Whartonby feels like he might have enough hats on.
Ms. Crossan, can I ask you a question? Is this something you would take up for the future, whether this is a needed position and what we ought to do with it? Or you just want to elect someone and make a motion and we done with it, move on?
Well, I think we should move forward with electing someone, and then we can look into it. The entire board wants to make a decision on that.
I don't think we need to have a whole conversation about it tonight, but I will say that I've always been, since I've been on the board, the story I've heard about the assistant secretary position is that there are 3 regions for 9 people. And the idea is that there be 3, the reason this was done, because we have 2 townships, 3 positions. The notion was theoretically you want 1 person from each region represented in each.
Can we
With
please
only
move
2
forward?
positions, with only 2 positions, you can't. There's 3 regions, right? So 1, 2, 3, you need 3 positions to have that. That's why the
Well,
whole
that might
thing was
work.
invented in the first place.
Well,
That's why-
Mr. Martin, can I?
Yes, yeah, Mr. Crossan, please.
So
But-
the only thing that it is helpful when Andrew had been absent and I would take his place and someone is already ready to step into my place. That's the real, I mean, it's very helpful to have that, knowing that if someone's not there, someone will step into it. That's the only difference that it really makes.
You would please just vote for a secretary so we can go.
Yeah,
on.
nominate, I don't.
I make a motion to table the election
Oh
of
my
an
goodness
assistant
gracious, can we
secretary.
just finish
A
this?
motion to table, that's on the floor. Is there a second to the motion to table? I'll second it. No discussion, all in favor of tabling this or not? All in favor of tabling? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Roll call, we want? Okay, if you want a roll call vote, Ms. Cross, we'll have a roll call vote.
I've been on such a functional group in my life.
Okay, for tabling the position of assistant secretary, Mr. Konopsky,
No.
Mr. Bergman,
No.
Mrs. Drinkwater.
No,
Mrs. Crossan,
No.
Mrs. Eilenberg,
No.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Dick,
No.
6-3.
Fail 6-3. All right, nomination for the last thing of the evening, and let's,
I would like to
Conclude.
nominate Mr. Miller for the role of board secretary.
Second.
all right, Mr. Miller? Are there any other nominations? Evidently, that's no other nominations, so
I'd like to nominate John Panofsky. There you go. Anybody from this room, please. Let me just fix this done.
Mr. Miller has been nominated and a second. Is there a second for Mr. Panofsky, who has been nominated? All right, we have Mr. Miller and we have Mr. Panofsky for this last position of Assistant Secretary. Are there any other nominations? Done. Let's vote, and then this appears to be the last item on the agenda for this evening. So can we do a roll call vote, Ms. Robo, please?
Yeah, by name again.
By name, that worked the last time.
Mrs. Clausen,
Mr. Miller.
Mrs. Eilenberg,
Mr. Panofsky.
Mr. Gottesman,
Mr. Miller.
Mr. Martin,
Mr. Miller,
Mr. Miller,
Mr. Panofsky.
Mr. Panofsky,
Mr. Panofsky.
Mr. Bergman,
Mr. Miller.
Mrs. Brancato,
Mr. Panofsky.
Mr. Dixon. We have 1, 2, 3, 4.
your last duty there, you can vote.
Mr. Miller.
Evidently, I count 5-4. Mr. Miller is the Assistant Secretary to the Board.
Hit the gavel so we can go home.
Is there anything further before we adjourn this meeting? Congratulations to all the people. I guess they assume tomorrow night their duties. Done.